When I worked at the University of Miami for a while, like a couple of years ago, and they wanted to take my advice with regards to what kind of diet to prescribe, and like, they were doing a new wellness center for the project to cure paralysis. It's at the University of Miami. It's like this huge institution, and they get all kinds of funding to cure paralysis. But you know, they're asking me as they're the nutritionist on board, what should the diet be? And I'm telling them all this stuff and I'm excited. And then at the end, they go out and they just go with a Mediterranean diet. I'm like, just tell me, just like be honest with me. It's because you're not going to get funding, right? You just want to get funding whichever way possible. And he's like, yeah, that's the answer. They're only going to get funding if they write about the Mediterranean diet. And if they do something else, it's actually much more likely to help those people. They're, you know, and all they care about at the end is just to have a job and to have money coming in, and that's the end of that. If you have a few pounds to lose, if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, or if you have any skin condition, eczema, psoriasis, acne, anything, I recommend everybody starts off with a base of just meat. Okay, and I'm not saying just red meat. Like, you can do pork, you can do salmon, you can do eggs, you can do bacon, you can do all that kind of stuff. Do whatever, you know, any kind of meats, chicken, turkey, do that, you know, shrimp, lobster, this is all great. But after 30 to 90 days, if you feel like, you know, you've achieved your optimal body weight, you've achieved everything, you know, you're feeling great, and you really missed something like fruit, you could try and see, does it cause an eczema outbreak? Does it cause acne? Does it cause whatever it is? The research is so lacking in that area because it's never been a thought to actually study what happens when you consume those anti-nutrients. They literally look at them as antioxidants. For example, in fruits, you've got salicylates. They are antifungals. They're literally present to defend the fruit from predators, insects, you know, and fungal or mold overgrowth. We never, throughout history, for 99.99% of our existence, we never had access to this amount of fructose in our diet. We evolved during an ice age, and even the fruits that were available there during that period of time, they were very low in sugar and very high in fiber. So we never had access to that very sweet taste. All these fruits on the market, they've all been hybridized and, you know, like chosen to be very sweet and addictive. Is a fruit going to be better than a Snickers bar for somebody who has already six-pack abs and very physically active and young? Yeah. But is a piece of steak better? Yes. That's how you activate the Randall cycle, which is like a series of chemical reactions that occur when you combine the sugar and fat, like two energy sources at the same time. And they're very addictive in addition to that.
And that's when you store the most fat too.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Okay. So yeah, that's why I would prefer that we don't
do fruit.
It's not this optimal nutrition. You still have things like toxins in addition to the salicylates. Like, for example, mangoes have urushiol, which is the same toxin found in cashews, right? That's why you can't just go and eat raw cashews. Go to Trader Joe's, you get raw cashews. That's, you know, people think it's raw. It's not raw. It's been steamed in order to remove whatever leftover urushiol has penetrated into the nut, because the urushiol is concentrated in the shell, but it is so toxic that they're so scared that some of it can be, you know, present on the nut or has seeped into the nut. So like you said, exercise is probably the #1 thing you can do, because as you age, one of the main hallmarks of aging that literally drives the aging process is the accumulation of certain kinds of cells called zombie cells, and that's the sexy name. The scientific name is called senescent cells. Well, exercise is the best senescent or senolytic drug that you can have, because it literally destroys those zombie cells. Those zombie cells are simply cells that have gotten old, but they hang around, and instead of completely like being excreted from your system, they just hang around, and they can't function normally but they continuously produce inflammatory molecules into your blood. So they're constantly secreting inflammatory molecules into your blood. Can react with things it has no business reacting to, like your DNA or cell membrane, or any structure in your body, because it's a molecule that has one unpaired electron. And any chemical structure that has one unpaired electron is constantly looking for another electron to marry, you know, to have that bond. Whenever you have inflammation in the body, you have, like what you mentioned, a lot more of those free radicals, reactive oxygen species. There are so many of them. You shouldn't be bonding with those structures, right? And this is what leads to mutations. This is what could lead to all kinds of damage. And accelerated aging is a big one. Having optimal levels of vitamin D and omega-3s. If you're in the optimal range, you can literally reset or reverse your biological age. The end of your chromosomes, which houses your DNA, you have telomeres.
Yep.
So let's say this is a chromosome, right? They look like X's. We've got 23 of them. At the end of every chromosome, like look at the, like where I have my nails, think of those as like the, kind of like how shoelaces have plastic caps at the end of them that protect them from fraying. They protect the chromosomes from damage. And you have them, by the way, also on the bottom ends as well. And as you age, the length of those telomeres start going shorter and shorter and shorter until eventually you don't have enough telomeres, which means that now your DNA is exposed and now it really starts to have mutations and starts getting damaged, and you have cancer and heart disease and all those things that are the result of that aging process. But they have found that people who have optimal levels of vitamin D, so for example, just in vitamin D, you can add 5 years to your life just by having an optimal range of vitamin D in your blood. Imagine what would happen if you optimize for every other, right? The fish oil is a big one that's been published, shows that, you know, the higher your omega-3 status, longer your telomeres, which is what you want. So when you eat carbs, it increases something called advanced glycation and products, or AGEs, are literally the glucose that you've just eaten from the carbohydrates going throughout your whole system and attaching to things like collagen. If we want to talk just looks, then it attaches to collagen and weakens that collagen matrix. And so now you have jowls and you have drooping and, you know, sagging skin. So the number one thing you would want to do to reverse the aging process and slow it down as much as possible is cut out the carbohydrates. Because I'm not constantly out and about, gradually building a natural tan, when I just go from being a month of not seeing the sun a lot and then go on a mini vacation where the sun is brutal in Florida, I'm going to get burned, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get burned, and that's why I use the sunblock and the sunscreen.
You want to build up slowly. Is that what that's what you're saying?
Build it up slowly. Don't think that, oh, I've heard that, you know, sunblock is poison, it's toxic. Yes, of course, we've got a lot of that stuff. I agree. But don't think that you can just wing it from like one day to the other and just, you know, don't get sunburned is the message. Another major thing, when you remove the seed oils from your diet, then your skin will not be fried, you know, from the inside out. When you're choosing what personal care products to use, unfortunately, the vast majority of them are using plant oils as a base, right? And you do not want that kind of oil that is so unstable, that damages and oxidizes so quickly, to be on your skin in direct contact with the sun.